Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Madam Toastmaster of the day, honored guests. Initially, when I was coming up with a subject for a speech title, and generally speaking, I don't feel that I have a problem. I was watching the news one morning. I have a tendency when I wake up in the morning to turn on Fox News. It just happens to be a personal favorite. But one of the lead stories was on the east side of Detroit. There were a number of McDonald's workers that were blocking the street. And they were protesting. They wanted to be paid $15 an hour. And my initial reaction was, fast food workers making $15 an hour. I don't see it happening. Well, again, being a fan of Fox News, on Thursdays they have a program called Let It Rip. And I actually watched the rebroadcast of this Let It Rip program, but they have a panel. You have one for, one against, and one that's kind of in the middle. So I'm listening to the argument going back and forth. I'm still not convinced that fast food worker needs to make $15 an hour. And the reason that I say that is because back in the day, when I was in high school, I thought I might need a job. But as a high school student, it's not like I had a whole lot of skills. It's not like I had a whole lot of talent. So where did I work? Burger King, McDonald's. Right across the street from Northwestern High School was a little restaurant called Petra's. It's closed now, but that used to be the hangout. And I remember going home and talking to my mom about, stopping participating in some of my extracurricular activities. At the time, I was a woman in high school. It was like, Mom, I'll stop swimming, and go to work. And she was like, no, you keep doing what you're doing. We'll make it. Okay, fine and dandy. But like most teenagers, kind of being broke. Going out and beating somebody up on, side of the head or snatching old lady's purse, that was just totally out of the question. I can't do jail. I'm too cute for that. I can't do it. But, again, it's in the back of my mind. Minimum wage, $15 an hour. Shortly thereafter, minimum wage in the state of Michigan is going up to $10.10. And I'm thinking to myself once again, okay, $10.10 is not perfect, but it's a little better. Once again, fellow Toastmasters and guests, I am thinking about what can I stand before you all and say that you will find not only to be informative, but educational, and at the same time I can be funny. But it is a serious topic, and if you don't mind, because in this particular room we do not have the AV equipment, so I made out my PowerPoint slides for you. You all have a hard copy of my PowerPoint slides. A case to increase the minimum wage. Would you please turn to the first slide with me? This is something that I didn't know. And a case to increase the minimum wage is a myth that most fast food workers are teenagers. I mean, typically we walk into a fast food restaurant and you see right there at the counter. Teenager. But there are a lot of adults that work behind the scenes. It's a fact. The median age of a fast food worker in America is 26.7 years of age. And that statistic comes from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And again, I did my homework. I did the research. They had a nice big free pie chart of the age limits of people working in fast food restaurants. And I thought about that for a minute. And I say that because when I was in school, for a week, just to see if their management program would be a fit for me. And I was surprised at the number of adults, 30-somethings, that's behind the scenes at the 2 different McDonald's franchises that I worked at. Next slide, please. Who will benefit from minimum wage? Again, when I saw that news story on Fox 2 that morning, I'm thinking about who more than likely is going to need an increase in the minimum wage. First thought that came to mind, and excuse me if I might seem prejudiced, but the first thought that came to mind was another wed mother. She's got a mouth to feed. Where that is, I don't know. But a woman will get out there and she will get a job, even if it means she's got to drop some fries and some hot oil. She's going to do that. So, once again, my perception is starting to change a little bit. Because we're talking about going from 7:45 to 10:10. And I can see Mama taking that little bitty check that she's got, and she's going to go to the grocery store. Because she's got mouths to feed here at home. As I am thinking more and more, deeper and deeper, harder and harder on this subject, I did not know this until I did my homework, but more than half of the workers making minimum wage are full-time employees. Now, when you think about a 40-hour work week for less than $10 an hour, that really is a job. In case a lot of you didn't know, the acronym JOB stands for Just Over Broke. Meaning, they're going to give you enough money so that you're going to come to work this week because you need that money to get paid. But after I pay you this week, guess what? You're coming right back to me the following week. Why? Because you got to make another 40-hour work week so you can get some more money. But what I'm saying is, you're pretty much going to stay just above water. It's going to keep you just over broke. And a lot of these full-time workers also have to rely on some other public assistance. So, when you stop and think about it, now I'm listening to the panel, paying attention. When excuse me because I cannot remember the person's name, but he was fighting, and as a matter of fact, he did not even use the term minimum wage, he used the term a living wage. And as it was explained during the interview, what does it cost to live? When you think about the city of Detroit, and now that we're about to go into winter, you need a living wage. I don't know about you, but last night I had to turn on some heat, which means DTE is about to say, hey, Mr. Fox, it's time to pay me. Because it wasn't hot enough that somebody had to turn on my air conditioner, so I was actually able to keep some money in my pocket. But now, it's time to pay pipe. The average wage, the average age, is 35 years old. Now, 35 years old, just making the minimum wage, once again, caused me to think, the heck have you been doing all your life? Especially since you've been out of high school. So now, my train of thought is going, no, we shouldn't just hand somebody $15 an hour because they waited so late in life to mature, to grow up, and for that light bulb to come on and say, now I have a responsibility, not only to myself, but to my family. Once again, give you some food to think about. Next slide, please. Who will benefit from an increase in the minimum wage? seen an increase in the minimum wage in 2 decades. Again, the reference source that I was using had a nice little pie chart. However, I couldn't copy that onto a PowerPoint slide so I can show you. But the state of Michigan is one of the states that have increased their minimum wage over time. Next slide, please. Tip workers. When you go out to a restaurant, regardless how I don't necessarily want to say bad, but anytime you go to what I like to call a sit-down restaurant, you at least need to tip your wait staff. The reason I say that is because for a wait staff earner, $2.13 an hour. So whatever you give them in the form of a tip brings them up to that minimum wage level. Now, of course, the more high-end or high-scale a restaurant might be, the higher the tip. Next slide, please. Small business is in favor of a raise in the minimum wage, while 35% of small business oppose it. Next slide, please. Here it is. An illustration of what it is to work minimum wage jobs. Amanda DeShazo from Tacoma, Washington, works 2 minimum wage jobs, and she brings home approximately $1,200 a month in take-home pay, of which $315 goes to rent, $35 toward utilities, $450 in her student loan and other debt, $100 in transportation, $100 in food, $75 for household essentials, $65 for a cell phone, which leaves her $60 for savings and emergency funds. Ladies and gentlemen, I reiterate my statement when I said that just having a job is keeping you just over broke. Madam Toastmaster, because of my time, I would like to have the rest of the Toastmasters review the PowerPoint slide. And I would like you to give me more.